Okay, we are up to Pasuk Tet. Today we'll do Pasuk Tet, and we'll go to the next section of Pasuk Yud. Avram Avinu making his journey into Eretz Canaan, and we've already learned about a few of the stops that he made. And then we come to Pasuk Tet. We learn that he keeps on traveling. He doesn't stop. Very short Pasuk. Vayisa Avram on page 50. I closed the Chumash. That's remarkable.
56.
56. Vayisa Avram haloch v'nasoa hanegba. He travels south. What's his destination?
He doesn't know
His
yet.
purpose. He doesn't know yet. But he already has been told by Hashem that he arrived. I mean, in Pasuk Zion, verse 7, it says, Hashem told Avram, to your progeny will I give this land. So he already knows the answer. I've arrived. Arrival.
Progeny. It doesn't say him.
True, but I'm saying the destination of where he was going, El Haaretz Asher Ar'eka, he's arrived. Yeah?
Isn't it traditional? Egypt was the breadbasket. So if there was a famine,
There was no famine yet. Wait, that's verse 10. I'm on verse 9. Before we get to 10. Yeah, you're right. Hold that thought for the 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Let's look at Pasuk Tet, though. My point is the end of this first paragraph. You look in a Sefer Torah, there's actually paragraphing, the Parshiot. So this paragraph actually comes to a close. Good morning. This paragraph comes to a close with Avram Avinu continuing to travel. He's traveled to a location. He stopped. We understood why he stopped there. He came to a second location. He stopped there. We understood why. We understood that he built altars. But now we just get a general statement. Avram was also traveling in a southerly direction. But we don't have any information about this purpose. In other words, it doesn't say he traveled south and he built a mizbeach. It just says that's where he was going. Yeah? So, did he not think that he had arrived yet? Now you could argue that if you look at the beginning of chapter 12 carefully, it never says when Hashem told him to leave his land, his birthplace, his father's house. It never told him, Hashem never told him, I'm giving you the land of Israel. He just said, go to the land, I will show you. And then he goes, and you'll be a bracha. Okay, and he gets there, and then when he gets there, Pasuk Zion, Hashem appears to him and tells him, to your progeny will I give this land. Well, what is this land? This land that I'm physically standing on right now, this land that my eye can see, this land where I'm walking. It's not made clear to Avram Avinu what this land means. You follow?
Yes.
So the scope of it is not known. We'll see. We've already read further along, all of us. We know that soon Hashem's going to tell him, lift up your eyes and look in the cardinal directions and walk in this direction and that direction. But he hasn't been told that yet, which leaves us a little bit wondering, well, so where's he going? So if you look at Rashi on this Pasuk Tet, it explains to you that Avram Avinu's sense of being on the go and promulgating, promoting, teaching the Dvar Hashem, the word of Hashem in the world, is part and parcel of the nomadic life that Avram Avinu led. So we'll read together Pasuk Tet. Haloch v'nasoa, he was traveling. Lifrakim, yoshev kan chodesh o yoter. From time to time, he would live in this place for a month or more. V'nosea misham, he would travel from whatever place that was. V'noteo lo b'makom acher, he would pitch his tent somewhere else. But v'chol ma'asa'av, all of his traveling was, generally speaking, in a southerly direction, hanegba, toward the Negev. Right? The Negev desert, the area that is dry, right? That's the Negev, so that's where he's going.
But less people. I mean, if he's supposed to be influencing a whole bunch of people, wouldn't you think he'd be staying more like outside of Shechem?
Right, but the Hanegba doesn't mean he's going to the Negev desert. It means he's going toward the Negev area. Now, why? So that's what we have to ask. South. It's a southerly direction. Yama vakeinu atzafon of Hanegba. So he's going to the Negev direction. Doesn't mean he's going to the Negev desert. In fact, Rashi perhaps that's why he clarifies Chomasav Hanegba. Lalech droma shel Eretz Yisrael, to go to the southern part of Eretz Yisrael, top of the next column in Rashi. V'hi litzad Yerushalayim, wants to go in the direction of Yerushalayim. Shehi b'chelko shel Yehuda, This is going to be in the apportionment of Yehuda, the tribe of Yehuda. Later on, Avram does not know about the tribe of Yehuda per se, but Shenatlu bidroma shel Eretz Yisrael Har Moriah shehi nachlato, that will take the southern part of Eretz Yisrael, Mount Moriah, which is its heritage. In other words, Avram Avinu is traveling in the direction of Yerushalayim. Rashi, just in line with what he'd explained previously, why does Avram Avinu go to certain places? Why do we need to know the names of those places? They will be significant in the future. Avram Avinu is moving in that direction. Now, in the case of the places that are mentioned explicitly, to the idea that he came to the place of Shechem, that he went to Elon Moreh, that he was between Beit El and the Ai, Rashi identified this event happened here, this event happened here, right? We have like the event in the future, projected event, that Avram Avinu is prefiguring in his arrival there and his tefillah there. But here, it doesn't mention the word Yerushalayim. Rashi tells, why was he going in that direction? He was going toward Yerushalayim. Karen, please.
But why? I guess I'm going to make sure I understand your question. Hashem, when Abram was in Shechem and Bethel, Hashem said, "This is the land I'm going to give you." You would think he would just stay there.
That's my
the
point.
question.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can come up with on the level of pshat is, why does Avram keep going? Because he doesn't know what the scope of this land.
Okay, now I understand.
And you have to remember, unlike the 20th, 21st century, it's not as if a country literally has a fence
Right.
on the side of it with like, you've now stepped over the line and now you're in Wyoming, right? Welcome to, right? You're at the point of where 4 states intersect. It doesn't work that way. There's no surveying of land, maps and borders and frontiers. It's, yeah. Okay. So he's been to these few places, but what draws him there, you know? And the idea that
Hashem chose him as the leader, because somebody else, he had that vision.
Right,
Somebody
absolutely.
else just would have stayed there.
Right, so he has that vision, and the vision, though, is not just a vision of intellect, it's also a vision in the prophetic sense of vision, right? There's something there, right, that propels him. By the way, the Malbim on this pasuk says that it really is Avram Avinu is trying to teach people about Hashem. That's what's animating him. It's nothing about the land, it's just about teaching. Others say it has more to do with the idea of actually being able to understand this is the portion of the Jewish people. And since my descendant, Yehuda, will have an area called the Judean Hills, it'll be called Judea, which is Yerushalayim and points south, I have to go there. He doesn't know necessarily the person's name is. Maybe he did. We don't know. My hunch is, unless we have, it's a sort of Occam's razor, unless we know that he knew. Well, I assume that he knew. You know, so he went there. But we should realize that his traveling to the southerly direction is itself significant from a religious perspective. It's not just like a little detail. Oh, also he liked traveling, so he went south. By the way, the Sforno right here, it's on the page, I think. The Sforno Loch V'Naso Negba Pasuk Tet. He just mentions Halach V'Naso Negba at the bottom of on this packet Kufnun Hey. So it says Kufnun Dal. So flip the page to the back side of that sheet, and you have on the bottom left-hand side Pasuk Tet. Halach V'Naso Negba Kshenasam Yimakom L'Makom Kiminhaga Roim Lo Halach L'Mizrach V'Lo L'Ma'arav Shelo Limtot Me'achat Mishtei Ha'ayarot Shitchilu K'tzatan L'Mashech Acharav. He did this. He traveled from place to place in the tradition of shepherds. He didn't go to the east or to the west because he didn't want to go away from one of the 2 towns. Remember, he was between Beit El and the Ai. And some of the people are drawn after him. So he's taking them with him, so to speak, moving in a southerly direction in the manner of shepherds. Someone want to say something, had their hand up. Oh, Shelley, please.
How long? How long did this take place? In other words, what's the
The
how much
timeline.
time? Yeah, before we're going to come to the famine. Is this a very short period of time, or is this actually a couple of years? No commentator comments on that.
No. Okay. Until you get an age mentioned specifically in the Torah, there's no way to know.
Okay.
We know he was 75 when he left.
Right.
The next age is going to be further along when it's going to describe that Avram Avinu was 86. the time of the birth of Yishmael. So how much time has elapsed between them? It's in that span, but we don't actually know. That's a very important point. We don't know timelines often in the Torah. How long did something take? How long was a person in a given location? And there's certain malleability there when you don't know. You know, was it 5 days in each place? Was it a month? Rashi says it was a month or so, or more at each place. Well, 12 months is also a number of months, but that's already a year. We don't know.
'Cause whether it's like Debbie's point or whether it's Malbim's point, would somewhat depend on whether, how long he's staying in some of these places, because they all make sense.
I think
Yeah.
their view of timelines. I mean, we're so into timelines and next steps and
Yeah.
all of that based on who we
Sequencing,
are.
right?
So I don't think you could overlay like our perspective of those things because they're so different.
Agreed.
And I'm
Agreed.
just noticing that it's, well, just noticing, that this is even before his name was changed.
Yes.
So that whole process leading up to that is one journey of test after another. So it's not surprising that we keep seeing journey and moving, because
Oh.
that is spiritually also
Part of it.
Part of it.
Good.
Yeah. That's nice. Any comment? Taking it all in. Ramban. Not Hanegba. Page Kuf Nun Hey still. And Ramban does something very interesting here, which is nothing. He just basically quotes Rashi. Katav Rabbeinu Shlomo. I'm doing this on purpose because next thing we're going to see where he's going to very strenuously disagree with Rashi. So Katav Rabbeinu Shlomo Lalechet Lidroma Shel Eretz Yisrael V'hu B'chelik Bnei Yehuda Shenat Lo B'droma Shel Eretz Yisrael. He's going to the south, which is the section of the children of Yehuda, would be their allotment. Beginning of the book of Shoftim, Yehuda will go up first, i.e., in terms of taking that area, the tribe of Yehuda. The Radak, who follows suit in the school of the Ramban, page Kuf Nun Hey now on the left-hand side, Tet, tells you something a little bit different than the way Rashi formulated it. And let's see if we can pick up the nuance. Vayisa Avram nasa misham v'halach haloch v'nasoa mimakom l'makom, place to place. Hanegba. Now let's listen carefully. The tzad darom she'eretz Yisrael, to the southern portion of Eretz Yisrael. Ubi Breisheet Rabbah. The Radak says, I'm quoting the Medrash here. Okay, fine. Kol masa'av hayu litzad drom shel Eretz Yisrael. All of Avram Avinu's travels moved toward the southern part of Eretz Yisrael. Shehit Nabe, because he prophesied, Ki Sham Yiyeh Chelek Yehuda Lidrom Eretz Yisrael, because he prophesied that would be the portion of Yehuda in the south of Eretz Yisrael. V'har Moriah Bechelko, Mount Moriah would be in its apportionment. She'atid la'alot beno alav, that in the future he would offer his son, or elevate his son rather, upon that mountain. Yeah. So, what's the difference between what the Radak says and what Rashi said? There is a nuanced difference.
The doc seems to be adding on Har HaMoriah, whereas it's.
Well, you mentioned Har Moriah and Rashi. It said Har Moriah
Oh, he did mention
as a
it in
place,
Rashi.
yes.
Okay.
But you're onto something. What about Har Moriah?
It's a sacrifice. and the
That's not
sacrifice
mentioned
is
by
not-
Rashi.
Yeah.
Radak mentions it. Also, Rashi mentions he's going toward Yerushalayim, which is the Chelik of Yehuda. According to Radak, Avinu prophesied, Shehit Nabe. He had a prophecy that would be where his children would live. In Rashi's case, it is not clear that when Avram Avinu travels south, that he has as much of a premonition, prophetic premonition, about why he's going there. In Radak's view, his quote of the Medrash Rabbah, that means to say also earlier sources from time of Chazal, is that Avram has a prophecy that his children will live here. And he has some prophecy about the idea of Har HaMoriah and its significance. It's a subtle difference, but in terms of understanding it, for Radak, Avram Avinu's same purposive move to Shechem and between the Ai and Beit El is the same thing that propels him down south in the direction of Yerushalayim. In the case of Rashi, The first places he went and he davened there, right? There's an idea that he senses these things are going to happen in these places later on, right? When he went to these places, right? Vayivan sham mizbech and pasuk chet nitna bei she'atidim banav likashel sham alavon achan vitpol sham aleim. He had a prophecy that that's what they would happen later. Pasuk chet in Rashi, right? It's not as clear, I'll grant you, in Pasuk Vav. Ad mekom Shechem litpalel al bnei Yaakov k'sheyavo lechem b'Shechem. Is that because he knew prophetically that something was going to happen there? Not clear. But on Elon Moreh, it says, it sounds like it says God showed him Har Ehu, Har Grizim, Har Eval. Hashem showed him Har Grizim and Har Eval, Shesham Kibul Yisrael Shvuat HaTorah. You see the distinction? It's subtle, but by the by, the Torah Chaim Chumash, the excellent Chumash, in the footnote number 15, says in our Medrash, we don't even have this quote that the Radak claims is from the Medrash. We have something else elsewhere, and it's not exactly this way. Radak sounds like he's quoting it directly out of his manuscript, but we don't have that quote in our printed edition. It's interesting. Helen, please.
A slightly different perspective. We have a guy, Paul, that told us in Europe that you actually walk step by step through the land, and somehow this is giving you an acquisition.
We're going to see that.
Yeah, so we have a future model.
Yes.
That Abraham is actually taking virtual
Yes.
steps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, actual steps, but the
Actual
virtual
steps, yeah.
virtual impact in
Right.
terms of
So
the
this is a
acquisition.
slightly different.
We're going to get there, but my point this morning when we started was Hashem didn't tell him to do this part. In other words, later on, God's going to say to him, "Kum mitalech ba'aretz," go get up and walk in the land. But he didn't say that yet. So what is Avram doing here, right? There's something drawing him, you could say, in the direction of this place. Something, that's something that's coming later on, but not something that he necessarily had an open prophecy about. It's just interesting to consider. Yeah. Now I didn't give you here. The Kli Yakar has a whole excursus here. When we studied Kli Yakar, I think that year we actually learned the piece in the Kli Yakar on this pasuk, where he describes the idea of the two Lech Lechas. There's the Lech Lecha to the land of Israel. Then later on, there's going to be the Lech Lecha to Yerushalayim, beginning of the Akedah. What this is Avinu feels he's going toward his source, toward himself when he's going to Yerushalayim, and therefore he's drawn in that direction.
It's interesting how certain things are explicit and certain things seem to be
Implicit.
more
Sure.
prophecy. Because, okay, he believes in God back in Ur Kasdim and Haran and all of that, but he doesn't think, oh, gee, there's this holy land I should go to. Until God tells him to actually move, he isn't moving. He's believes in God and he's trying
Where he is.
to get people, but it's where he is. And then, so I never understood how prophecy really works. So God at this point is actually speaking to him, which God isn't going to do in 1,000 years from, he does it through Moshe, he does it through Yeshua, then he sort of stops. Okay, so
Then hundreds of years later, but yeah.
So he gets both the explicit thing from God telling him what to do, and according to the commentators and the Medrash, the implicit things that through some kind of nevuah. How does that work? Right. Okay, sorry. I know it's a
That's
hard
a very
question.
hard question.
Helen
like it.
knows.
The idea is, Helen, what do you want to
I'll
say?
explain it.
Helen knows the answer. We got Helen.
Helen.
Not Helen. Nathan, we're going to you next. So let's go. What do you say?
Biology, we have two steps. I'm doing a test. One of them says direct cooms. One of them says indirect cooms. One of them I could see immediately put two
Pieces
screws
together, yeah,
I
yeah.
see an obvious reaction. The other one, I have to wash the cells. I have to get something that is a special connector that will find a connector on the
It's
cell.
more derivative and has
Like a
more
derivative
steps.
And even when you talk about a genetic thing, I can see you have brown eyes, and that is homozygous. You might have another gene underneath that will cause you trouble that is heterozygous, and you can only see it in certain situations. For instance, a sickle cell person may be heterozygous. When he has to go to surgery, that oxygen and his hidden gene will cause him a lot of trouble. So you have to do a test to find out.
But it's not as directly known, is your point.
So.
We have to figure it out.
Right. So
I
that is my
absolutely hear it.
explanation.
Absolutely hear it. Okay,
I have a quick
thank you.
but pretty
Please.
comment, I hope. I was reading this week's Parsha this morning,
Oh, wow.
Parsha's Bo,
Indeed.
and there it is. There's that come to Paro,
Hmm.
but he's actually, you wonder, why is it come when he's going?
Right.
And I'm thinking of Avraham. We keep using the word
yourself.
he's
Yep.
going, but he's
Yep.
not. He's coming. He's
Interesting.
coming. He's
Interesting.
coming
So what do
to
you want to say about it?
that's all.
All right. I mean, it's a fair point.
Ma'aseh avot siman
Yeah,
levanim.
it might be more of a question on Parshat Bo than it is on Parshat Lecha. I want to focus on Lecha, but Lech Lecha.
But when you were saying that he's going to Jerusalem, he's going to himself. So it's more like he's being drawn. He's coming to where he's supposed to be.
Yeah. He's traveling in that direction. Yeah, okay,
Right.
fair enough. He doesn't necessarily even know it yet. I mean, I
doesn't
didn't do
know.
the Kliyakar justice. There's a whole piece there about that the human soul was the human body rather taken and created out of that section, that place in Hara Moriah, and therefore Avram is connected. And every neshama he's done 3 journeys. This is the 4th journey to his core self, which is going to Yerushalayim. And anyway, we didn't sing it inside,
you go out
so
and you come home.
yeah,
So that's really the
Yeah.
distinction.
fine.
And Rabbi, I'll say to explain Nevuah, I don't think there's an explanation as much, like you said, built into you. How does a 5-year-old kid go, I feel Hashem? And all of a sudden he goes and he keeps going on his travels, just like Yaakov all of a sudden goes, whoa, there was a holy place back there. I better go daven.
Yeah.
It's these things that guide. And then I think after the fact, after something happens, now we can explain
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
I have one other point.
And that could be what's going on here.
Regarding
Please.
that, even if it's very clear, it's mystic.
Yeah.
To say that the ladders of the angels went up and went down.
You're talking
Sounds
about
very explicit, but you have to have
a
whole
lot of
understanding
layers
what
there.
that
Yeah.
means.
Fair enough. And the idea here is that Avram Avinu is that grand neshama that's it's coming to Eretz Yisrael, arriving,
magnet.
but also still traveling. And here you look at pasuk. Now that's all the first section. Everything's going really in a very good direction, and we hit the first challenge, big challenge. Pasuk Yud. Vayihi ra'av ba'aretz. Vayered Avram Mitzrayim legur sham ki chaved ha'ra'av ba'aretz. All right. Before we even get to the whole story well, maybe we should read a few psukim of it, I guess. Let's parse it. Let's go. Vayihi. Kasher ikriv lavo Mitzrayim vayomer el Sarai ishto hinena yadat ki isha yifat mar'at. Very, very challenging series of psukim. First, that there's a famine in the land. God promised him the land. Not 10 minutes ago we read, really like 8 or 9 weeks ago we read, but right, and then Parsha Lecha before that. But there's a famine. Let's just line up a few of the questions. I'll take more questions, and then we'll start to try to unpack it. But there's a famine. Why is there a famine? Hashem told him everything's going to be okay. Go to the land, you'll be blessed. So that's some blessing. He has a Rav. Then he has to leave to Mitzrayim. It doesn't even mention that anyone went with him. Sounds like Avram went by himself. Where's Sarah in this? Where's Lot? Not mentioned. Pasuk Yud Aleph. They're getting a little close to Mitzrayim, and he turns to Sarai. Oh, she was there the whole time. And now I understand that you're so beautiful. You're a beautiful woman. V'haya, it will be. Ki yiro atach hamitzrim v'amru ishto zot. They'll see how beautiful you are. They'll look at you. This is his wife. They'll kill me and they'll cause you to keep living, i.e., they will take you as their own. It's the end of the Aliyah, so I'll pause here. But say you're my sister. How's that getting us out of the problem? It's not clear. So it will be beneficial for me on your account. And my soul will live because of you. Very, very strange series of psukim. Let me take some more questions. Go.
I'm going to ask something that you wouldn't think I'm going to ask.
Oh, wow, I can't wait.
Okay. There's a famine in the land. Okay. Is that Ma'aseh Avot Siman Levanim? Because to teach the later Jews that the land, the Canaanites, we always think there's a famine when somebody's living in the land is doing something wrong. It's going to be for us, but it was for the Canaanites too, because that's how they get kicked out first. It's not.
Although not on account of this famine.
Right, but they must have been doing something wrong. The famine isn't just put up there per se, right? Or is
Hope
it
not.
different for
I don't know.
non-Jews and
It might be different for non-Jews and Jews, actually.
Okay, but if
Might
it's,
be.
if it's because
Seems that
of
way
the
to me.
land, then that could be a sign of Amasa Avot Simon Levanim that you know, you have to leave the land. There will be famines when bad stuff, when people are doing bad stuff
Good.
in the land, and
Good.
you have to go leave the land, and that's always going to cause you problems. So be
Lot of
very
problems.
careful about what you do, and you won't have to leave the
So
land.
why is that not a question you would normally ask?
Well, no. Normally, I'd be going into the Sarai business.
You will be
You know,
going
the
to the
system.
Sarai
Yeah,
business.
you will.
We will be. I predict it. We all predict it, which is good,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is what we expect from you. Don't not to let anything slip by. But that's first. You have to ask what's with the famine.
Yeah.
Rashi right away tells us, and we look to Rashi really at the outset. Maybe before Rashi, maybe we should just talk outside a little bit. So what's the function of the famine? The famine can be a reaction to sin, right? Could be.
Yeah.
The sins of the Canaanites. Sins of Avram Avinu? Question mark. I mean, that's, I don't know. Is there any status, any basis for that?
No, it's a detour sign
be.
to make them go elsewhere.
But why? Why would Hashem? He's
already was
75
going
years old, and he finally moved from Haran to the land, and he got there. Let's say he was there a year. Let's say he was there 2 years. Let's say he was there 6 months. Let's say he was there. I don't know how long. It doesn't say. We don't know the timeline. But then comes a famine. Now, what happens when the famine happens? So in one pasuk in one, and we've learned this many times. I was trying to make this class a little more also about the methodology. In one pasuk, we have a lot of information about travel. Vayirav ba'aretz, vayelech Avram Mitzrayim legur sham ki chaved harav ba'aretz. Contrast that with, just turn back even a page, and you see Hashem talks to Avram, tells him go to the land. Then Avram goes, pasuk Dalet. It says that Avram went as Hashem spoke to him. And he was this in this age when he left Haran. And then who he took. And then Pasuk Hey, it says, Vayetzu alech et Artz Canaan, Pasuk page 56. And Vayavo Artz Canaan. And it tells you where he went in the land. You understand? A lot of detail.
Yeah.
And in one Pasuk we have, there was a famine, Avram went down to Egypt. It doesn't say a lot of things in this
It says
Pasuk.
went down. It could have
say it
just
more-
said
more- Right, it could have said, right, and Avram took Sarai, and he took Lot, and he took his things, and he went down. It could have said, he asked Hashem, what should I do right now? It could have said that Hashem told him, I made a Rav in the Aretz, and you should go. Now, it's very important when we learn, not only to understand what the words mean, and to understand the ideas being communicated, but to ask ourselves, what is not being communicated? Or what could have been communicated over 10 sentences, and we're getting it in one sentence? Or more likely, it could have been said in five words. We're getting it very slowly. Why the slowing down? This is going very fast. There's a famine. Avram goes down to Mitzrayim to live there because there's a very heavy famine in the land. And when he got close to Mitzrayim, here's the conversation he had with Sarai. Sarai was with him. Didn't mention that before. But now we find out Sarai was with him, and he tells her something, and she responds in no way at all. Doesn't say what she says, and that's going to be our plan. And then what he actually says, that's before we even get to what he said to her and what the whole plan was and why he brought it up.
Because it's the beginning of Hashem letting go and letting Abraham. Hashem wants to do that. Try to figure based on what Hashem had led him and told him earlier. So he has the beginning of figuring it out.
Excellent. And figuring it out on his own, and therefore doing the right thing on his own, which in other words is, we could say, passing the test that Hashem set up for him.
Exactly.
So says Rashi. That's Rashi's view. Rashi Pasuk Yud.
Back to Noah, when God tells
That's
Noah
right.
exactly what to do.
Right.
And we don't exactly have a great result
Well,
afterwards.
in the
So
end.
then God decides, well, maybe we'll put
Give him
some
a little
more
bit,
human initiative.
but
of
right.
direction.
And you have that here. And you have that. Look at Pasuk Yud and Rashi. Ra'av Ba'aretz. If you're more comfortable seeing it on this sheet, it would be on page Kuf Nun Hey, on this sheet, or in the Chumash, page 56, in Rashi. Ra'av Ba'aretz, Bo'otah ha'aretz livada. Well, that's rather, quote unquote, unlucky and strange. The only place, why I say Ra'av Ba'aretz? So Rashi says, didn't just mean the land like the world, like the known world. Ba'aretz means Be'eretz Yisrael, just in one place. Everywhere else there was food. One place without food is Eretz Yisrael. Well, that's an uncanny, quote unquote, unlucky thing. No, why is it there? Li nasoto. to test Avraham Avinu. Im yahar her achar dvarav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu she'amar lo lech eretz Canaan v'achshav misio latzeit mimena. Hashem wanted to see, is Avraham Avinu now going to complain that I gave him a promise, and in the gap between the promise and its fulfillment, there are many challenges, and I'm saying, well, what? Then what did you? Why did you give me this? I don't want this bracha.
Many
If I have
others
to,
would
right?
do.
So, but he stayed quiet. He gets credit for this, and now he, even though Hashem is forcing him basically to leave, okay, it's a setback, but I'll get back here as soon as I can. But I'm doing what I need to do now to deal with my challenges, my problems, without saying you did this to me, but really he could have said, but you sent me here, right? So to what avail, right? So
And
please.
the
To also
lessons of
question
that.
whether Lech
lessons.
Lecha will apply in Mitzrayim.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing.
Mission
when,
over, mission accomplished. We got there, I touched base.
Well, to be completely
and I left.
surrounded by
okay.
Mitzrayim, is he still going unto himself? Or
Is that set
Yeah.
aside?
is that
Right.
set
By
aside?
the way, to get to Mitzrayim, he probably passed right through Yerushalayim. It doesn't say even stopped. Just kept going. Please.
There's a problem with that, with the Rashi, though, because God doesn't promise him the land right away anyway. There's
Right.
always a challenge.
Right.
Progeny.
Right.
And what's progeny? How many
Right.
generations later? So it's couched from the beginning in we don't know.
And maybe
when
that's
this is
Avram
gonna
Avinu's
happen.
calculus.
Yeah.
Maybe that's his calculus is, well, I was told in the future I'll get it.
Yeah.
I don't have it now.
Right.
And there's a famine. What does Hashem want me to do? Die? No. So I got to do what I have to do. What can I do?
And the lessons for us out of all of this.
Very powerful. Very hard sometimes, but very powerful.
And today happens to be
Oh, right. The 27th, right.
International
Right, right,
Remembrance Day.
right.
and
Was this the
so-
75th anniversary?
Yeah.
Oh, today.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it was yesterday. Today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Yeah.
In terms of those lessons and
Yeah.
how that applies now.
Yeah, for sure.
Rabbi, when does the promise of the land, when does it come? And because that's when Avram will say, I really doubt, and that's when
He
he
doesn't-
gives it, I want you to sign up.
Oh, and
You
when
see-
Hashem wants, what are you talking?
Yeah.
That's later on. It's chapter 15. But we'll see soon when Avram Avinu returns from the land of Egypt. Hashem's going to start telling him, that all the different directions. That's going to be for you. Basically, it's going to be later on. It's the end of chapter 13. Hashem tells him, look up from where you are, cardinal points. This will all be yours, and get up and walk through the land. We'll see that when we get there. But the idea here is all Hashem has told him is, I will give this land to your progeny. And it's not clear that means that Hashem told me you get it now. That's what we're saying, is maybe that's what animates the decision. Okay, so I got to go down to Egypt. It's not
like
time
when
now.
we're davening and we don't get, in terms of
Yeah.
how it,
Yeah.
okay, but
Yeah.
it might be, and
Yep.
The
A lot of
progeny
things
is not
could happen
heir.
with a promise that things happen in between, that goal and that promise cannot be filled
Right away.
right away, or it could be totally.
could change.
Who knows?
You're waiting for someone to die.
Who
and they're
knows?
Spending all their money in an expensive nursing home.
That's
And
an example. That's what I would have thought, but okay.
you won't get
Oi,
anything.
oi.
Could be. Let's look at Ramban.
Let's go
With a few
back to
minutes
Egypt.
left. Let's go
I'm
to
going
Egypt.
down. Let's go to
Ramban,
Egypt.
Pasuk
I wanna go
Yud.
back to
Ramban,
Egypt.
page Kufnun. Hey, I'm right over here. Okay.
Reality for me.
You never know. Okay, let's go. Pasuk Yud. Vayihi Ra'av Baaretz. Says the Ramban, fasten your seatbelts. If our chairs had seatbelts, tell you now, fasten seatbelts. We're about to experience some very serious turbulence. Says the Ramban. Hinei Avraham. Yarad lemitzrayim mipnei ha'ra'av lagur sham la'chayot nafsho b'mei ha'batzoret. Behold, Avram went down to Egypt because of the famine, to live there, in order to sustain his soul in a time of drought. V'amitzrim ashkui ito oto chinam lakachat ishto. The Egyptians oppressed him or cheated him for nothing. They took his wife. V'kadosh Baruch Hu nakam nikmatam b'negayim gedolim v'otzio misham b'mikne b'kesef v'zav. Hashem would avenge this for Abraham and for Sarah, for both of them, with great plagues, and he would take them out of there with a lot of livestock, with silver and with gold. Sound
Which is-
familiar?
Oh, yeah, very.
Yetziat, the first
Sure.
Yetziat Mitzrayim in Jewish history. If anyone asks you, what was the first Exodus? It was Avram Avinu's Exodus with Sarah Imenu and Lot, his nephew. V'gam tziva alav Paro anashim l'shalcham, and also Paro would command people to escort them out, to go up. Now, v'ramaz elav, this is a hint to Avram Avinu. Ki banav yerdu Mitzrayim, mipnei hara'av lagur sham be'aretz, v'amitzrim yiru lahem v'ikchu mehem hanashim. This is a hint that the children of Avram Avinu will have a famine in the land, will have to go down to Egypt, and the Egyptians will do wicked things and evil to their wives. That is, according to the Medrash, what it means in Pashat Shmot. Cast all the young boys into the river, the Nile, and cause all of the girls to live. It doesn't just mean to live, but make them the wives of the Egyptians, and thereby breed out the Jewish people. Kasher amar v'chol habat techayun, as it says there in the pasuk. V'akadosh baruch hu yinkom nikmatam b'negayim gedolim ad sheyotzu b'chesed v'zahav tzvitzon ubakar mikneh kaved me'od. Exactly what will happen. God will will avenge for them with great plagues until it would take out silver, gold, livestock, cattle, everything very heavy, and they will gather together to powerfully send them from the land. Not one aspect of what happened, the events of the forefather, will be lost from the happenings of the children.
Yes, one is. Sora is taken for immoral purposes by Paro.
Yeah.
God stops it, but she's taken. The women are not. Later on, there's a whole thing in the Midrash that only one woman gave birth to an Egyptian child, and that's the one that doesn't turn out all that well later on.
That's it.
when they
That's
go
that,
out.
that. I don't accept that it was only one time. I don't
Okay.
accept. The children luckily are Jewish. The mother's Jewish, but
isn't there that idea? So
there's a
then
medrash. There's that medrash. To
Okay.
me, that medrash is unfortunately indicative of a lot of other things. It's not a one-time thing.
Well, it
That
would make more
particular
sense that it
that
wasn't a
particular
one-time.
story was a particularly horrific example of it, and it did have terrible consequences with later on. Shlomit Bat Ivri, Ben, and he's Ben Ish Mitzri, etc. That's later, but Big Gadol. That's what V'chol Bat Techayun means. It was meant to be. It didn't happen exactly that way. Thank God. The Jewish people were rescued and redeemed, etc. But the point of the Ramban is what I told you before. He says, "Ma'asav Siman Labanim." This is what it means: the events of the forefathers, the signpost and a guide for their children. Ve'inyan hazeh parshu beBreishit Rabbah. It's explained already by the Chachamim in the Medrash itself. Rabbi Pinchas b'shem Rabbi Oshia. The statement of Rabbi Pinchas Rabbi Oshia, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Avraham, Tzei uchvosh el haderech lifnei banecha. Hashem, the Holy One, blessed be He, said to Avraham, go and conquer the path before your children do, meaning go down that road. V'atamotze, kol ma shekatuv ba'Avram katuv b'banav. Everything that's written with Avram Avinu is written with his children. Be'Avraham, that's the next page. Kuf Nun Vav, so next page. Katuv, Vayihi Rav Ba'aretz, with regard to Avram, it says there was a famine in the land. Behold, there's a famine in the land. Yisrael Ktiv, Kizesh Natayim Arav B'Kerav Haaretz, would also say these are the years of famine in the land. You have it? Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm on the second line on page Kuf Nun Vav. And the problem with turbulence, of course, is you have to always get the warning, hopefully, to get fast seatbelt before. You don't see it coming. Because you think, no turbulence. Maybe fast seatbelt on the plane for no reason. Vida. And you should know, says the Ramban. Ki Avram Avinu chata chet gadol bishgagav. Avram Avinu sinned a great sin. Accidentally. Shevi ishto hatzadeket b'michshol avon mipnei pachado pen yaharguhu. On account of his mortal fear that he would be killed by the Egyptians, he brought his righteous wife into the possibility of a great stumbling, a great falling into iniquity. V'haya lo livtoach b'Hashem sheyatzil oto v'et ishto v'et kol asher lo ki yesh be'elokim koach la'azor lahatzil. He should have trusted Hashem to save him, to save his wife, to save everything that he had, because God has the power to help and to save. So point number one, Avram Avinu sinned by having this little conversation with Sarah saying, say you're my sister.
The lie.
The lie. Number two, Gam Yitziato min haaretz shenitztava alea b'tchila mipnei harav avon asher chata. His leaving of the land that he was commanded initially to go into, the fact that he left it on account of a famine, is a sin. Ka'elokim barav yivdenu mimavet, because God would have saved him from death at the time of the famine. V'alamase hazeh nigzar al zaro hagalut be'eretz Mitzrayim biyad paro be'makom mishpat shama haresha ve'hachet. Says the Ramban, I would never say it myself, I'm just reading and explaining what the Ramban says. With regard to this event, this happening, came the decree upon the progeny of Avram Avinu to be exiled in the land of Egypt, to be in the hand of Paro. And, as the Pasuk teaches, the idea in the place of the judgment, which is also the place where the wickedness has happened and where the sin has happened. So if bad things happen to the Jewish people, everyone went down to Egypt, 210 years of slavery, countless millions of people killed in the pits of Egypt, you should know it's all because Avram Avinu decided that God told him to stay in the land, but there was a famine. I'm out of here. And he went down and then he took this action. That's what the Ramban writes. Wow, it's going to light up now with turbulence. Like I said, that's turbulence for you. Go.
This sins go to what, three generations? Remember how many?
punishment will go to how
Three?
Right. It could be 3 to 4.
Yeah, isn't it interesting?
Yeah. That's what happened.
That's what happened.
Uh-huh.
Rabbi,
That's what
but
happened.
I thought we were punished in Egypt because Avram doubted when Hashem said, "I'm giving you the land," and he said, and he saw the sins that Jewish people would do. I want a contract.
So that's a great question. Your question is against the Ramban. If that's really the sin over there, so what's it mentioning it over here? So is the Ramban going to say over there? That's chapter 15. We're going to get there. He's going to say, I don't have any children. Can you show me? And God tells him, know that your children will be. So the Ramban basically argues it really was already, the seeds were planted here.
But aren't you supposed to just, get up, go feed your people, get up and do something?
That's what Rashi says.
Yeah.
Ramban disagrees. Ramban says the same person who was not taking a step out of Haran, he was waiting that Hashem should tell him, Lechem Artzecha, and then he went and he's calling out to God and Hashem speaking to him, came a famine, and in one pasuk, okay, we're leaving. Pack your bag, we're leaving. What about davening? What ask Hashem? Build a mizbeach? Say something? No, we got to go.
Okay,
But-
I can give a proof for Ramban.
Okay?
Is later on, God's going to come to Yaakov and
Yes.
say, don't be afraid of
Yes.
going down to Egypt. And maybe that's why Yaakov was afraid, because he bought into the Ramban's concept
That there's
of
really
Abraham.
something sinful in it.
Yes,
So
that
God
there's
came to
something
reassure
sinful
him.
in it. Yeah.
Very good. Also, by the way, Yaakov, before he goes, he built an altar.
Yeah.
And then Hashem comes to him. Yeah. Helen, please.
I see Yaakov and Yosef being pawns in carrying out this decision.
This is all the question,
They're
isn't it?
Sort of hapless victims going along, that this is all part of, it's a continuum rather than a beginning.
If Ramban is correct,
Right.
that is what Ramban has to reckon with. We talked about it together last week a little bit, 2 weeks ago. Maaseh Avat Siman Labanim, what does that really mean? Does it mean you're like locked in some kind of deterministic,
Yeah, no
you're
fatalism.
stuck?
God doesn't do
Exactly.
fatalism.
So what is that? And the Ramban, at least on the face of it, sounds almost as if he leans in that direction, doesn't he? I mean, that's what he's saying. This was the Gzeira already. So we'll have to leave that as sort of a hanging question, try to parse. Well, how does the Ramban answer this? Obviously, he believes in free will. Obviously, he believes so. But how much free will is there? Avram precluded that because he already set up that they're going to have to go to Egypt, right?
The whole setup with the dreams, that the brothers hated him. It seems like this is all just chapter 3, 4, and 5 of this original chapter.
That is the Ramban's basic conviction. The Ramban would argue, I'm saying it outside, I can't show it to you inside now, but the basic gist of it, when you learn a lot of Ramban, the basic gist of it is, yes, it's true that it's chapter 3, 4, and 5, but how chapter 3, 4, and 5 get written within the big box of here's the framework of what's going to happen, what actually is the content inside, that's where the people still have a lot of free reign to move around. So Yosef had his dreams, but it was the brother's choice to hate him. And it was Yaakov's choice to give him the coat. And it was the brother's choice to send him down to Egypt. And it was the brother's choice to hide it. And then it was the father's choice in the time of their famine to send the brothers down. But what happens at the end of it? What does Yosef say, which is so much the punchline? He says, oh, don't be angry. God sent me here for you. Now everybody knew the story already that Zeta Avram, Elter Zeta Avram, he'd already came down to Egypt before. He got out. Maybe we'll get out now. They didn't get out so quickly. It took 210 years.
With Nevuah, though, when the prophets are going to, prophesize the destructions and stuff like that, the Gezerah can be changed if
Yeah.
people repent.
Yeah.
So are you saying with this that this is actually more deterministic and fatalistic and it can't be changed? That seems very harsh and,
Very harsh.
yeah.
I don't know.
Is that just Ramban or is that?
It's the Ramban. That's the Ramban
But you
holds.
still have
Now,
the-
I believe Rashi disagrees with the Ramban because, as we saw, Rashi said, no, it was a test. He passed with flying colors. And the Ramban's contention essentially is Avram didn't pass the test. That's the contention of the Ramban. That's what it says, right? It says that he, right? It says so? Yeah?
We're kidding.
How I think
So
about-
I want to read you what the all of this. It is very, very bothersome. There's no question. But the Netziv of Volozhin, the Hemek Davar, end of the 19th century.
Last year's comment, or 2 years ago.
2 years ago, but I don't think we saw. I'm pretty sure we didn't see this piece, but it's like a very important piece. Is he notes that when it describes that Avram went down to Egypt, So the Netziv basically defends Rashi against the Ramban. The Netziv says, look, it says in the Parsha specifically that when he went, it says, Vahi Rav, there's a famine. Vayired Avram, Mitzrayim, Lagur Sham means not to live for a long period of time, but to be a ger means to be a stranger, just like it will say with regard to Jewish people. We read it in the Haggadah, Vayagar Sham b'matei ma'ateh. Haggadah tells us, Lo lihishtakei Sham. Now, ki chaved hara'av ba'aretz. It wasn't just that it was a famine; it was a very heavy famine. So says the Rambam, the Netziv. Why is there a kefal hakatuv? It's not just there's a famine, but there's a ki kaved hara'av ba'aretz. Look in one verse. The beginning of the verse is there's a famine in the land. The end of the verse is there's a heavy famine in the land. Says the Netziv, there's an increasing intensification of the famine. So he writes, as long as Avram could hold on and stay in the land of Israel and sell off his property, because when a famine doesn't mean there's zero food at the beginning. It's not the Ethiopian drought, Rahman al-Itzlan, but it's like literally people begging for water. There's less food and the price of food goes up. That's the famine when it starts. So what happens? He's selling off his things. But what happened? The Torah testifies it got so intense it wasn't possible to keep spending the money. Maybe he lost his money. Who knows? Avram Avinu understood this was a test. What was the test? That when the famine starts, I'm going to stay as long as I can. But if it gets to the point of intensity where I can't take it anymore, the test now is to say, that's what you want from me, Hashem. Velo keharamban zal. Not like the Ramban says. Shekatav shechata b'mashi yatsa shayalo livtoach ba'Hashem. He should have trusted in God. Devadai batach kechol ha'efshar. Of course, Avram Avinu trusted to the greatest degree of his ability. But this was God's thought, is to make it so intense that Avram Avinu realized, I can't stay. He tried. Now, the Netziv has on his side, by the way, that we say there are 10 tests that Avram Avinu had. Mm-hmm. The Rambam has a list of what those 10 tests are. The Rabbeinu Yonah has a list of tests. The lists of the 10 tests, they all include this, and they say Avram Avinu passed with flying colors. So for the Ramban to come and say it's not true, he could say it, but it's kind of hard to argue that. Also, at no time when Avram Avinu did this, did Hashem do anything to criticize Avram Avinu. Mm-hmm. Doesn't say. There are times when it seems that if Hashem criticizes something, it says so. There's no critique. Why not? Why not? Okay. So he goes on to describe, the idea. It describes that this famine was a nisayon, and that Avraham Avinu tried his best to stay as long as he could. And the Torah is telling you it was a famine. It was a very intense famine, and that's why he had to leave. He had no choice. And his emunah is not to say, well, I'll just wait and God will save. God will save. The joke that everyone pretends is a madrash. God will save me from the boat. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I sent the guy twice.
And
I
that-
mean, realize Hashem gave me a world to live in. It's a physical world. Famines happen. He put it here. I don't really know why. I'll spend my money to stay here. By the way, that also explains, according to Netziv at least, if Avraham Avinu really spent his money, that would explain also two things. One, why Avraham Avinu cannot just say, we'll buy off the people in Egypt, but rather we have to have some kind of ruse. And two, why it's so significant that Paro gave him all the money when he comes back to Israel. But if he had all this money, okay, and this machloket doesn't have a resolution per se, right? They each have certain challenge, but you can take your pick which one you like better. Karen,
But
closing comments.
those two perspectives.
Oh, we went over time.
Yeah, would lead to different conclusions about why we went later down to Egypt. Is it a punishment?
Right.
Or
Right.
was it
Right.
a foreshadowing?
Right. By the way, and you could say it's a foreshadowing without a punishment component. Maybe it's a foreshadowing. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
foreshadowing.
it's a foreshadowing without a
Depending
punishment.
on how you view
Yep.
what Abraham did.
Yes.
Okay.
Ad con for today.
Good.